I was gonna read something I wrote, but then I just shared this freestyle Dharma talk for you. All over the Avatamsaka Sutra, we hear about the multiverse. It's really wild stuff. Like, this morning I was reading a passage and it comes up all over the place, but it's also the heart of this BuddhaGang Buddhism that used the Avatamsaka Sutra in China back in the day and influenced what we now call Zen. But they spoke, and the sutra speaks of what we now call interbeing, thanks to Thich Nhat Hanh. But when we hear about interbeing, we are missing a big part of the story, so that we run around with basic delusion and pride at the delusion. We hear of interdependence and interpenetration, and we can understand these. All things are entangled, we love to talk about it and share memes about that. But we have either not seen or not understood the importance of mutual non-interference. And in the Avatamsaka Sutra, the passage I was reading this morning was talking about how bodhisattvas, great bodhisattvas, bodhisattva mahasattvas, can bring the all to singularity without destroying things and beings in all those infinite worlds. This is an example of mutual non-interference. So the Bodhisattva's great understanding doesn't destroy the identity of all these individual streams and groups of streams of consciousness. Worlds, realms of beings are maintained, though the Bodhisattva knows them beyond multiplicity and unity, being and non-being, and all other, categories constructed by dualistic discrimination. She knows it's all entangled, but she does not pretend all beings display the same characteristics, or all realms of beings display the same characteristics. Some groups of people are harsh. Some groups of people aren't. Being able to generalize is not always a bad thing. To generalize skillfully is a good thing. Bodhisattvas do it. Evidence-based, awareness-based, the Bodhisattva comes to understand the characteristics of beings. And she's able to know they are not two, ultimately non-dual. But oneness doesn't work, because different beings do display different characteristics. They have different karma configurations. It's an interesting dilemma. And it's an interesting thing to watch how people either skirt around the dilemma and don't know about the dilemma, or refuse to acknowledge the dilemma. But if we don't engage in dualistic discrimination ourselves, we won't be effective bodhisattva helpers. And bodhisattvas care about helping, so they think clearly about what's happening. They know it's all entangled, but they know that those beings over there have a lot of money and power, while most beings don't. In the USA, again, some beings have a lot of wealth and power. Like Stanford did a study a while back and found that, oh, big surprise, the only people being represented here are the ultra wealthy. So, yeah, this nation has been on the wrong path. It's who has been at the helm, who has the reins, not the people. It's a small group of harsh, greedy people, stingy people, trying to convince us that it's a good idea to dismantle all our welfare systems, do away with Social Security. It's like, what are you even talking about? From what hell did you emerge? But we love them too. That's not the question. But we know that because of their actions in this samsara, they have cultivated these gnarly habit energies around this obvious clinging to Atman, self. And no, this is not ego. Atman is the notion of this inner core essence, the truer self, the real self. It's permanent and eternal, and it sounds like a great idea, but it's not. And the Buddha made it really clear. Human beings are sentient
Your
beings.
current blood glucose is 141. It's trending flat. Difference from last reading is -10.
Human beings are sentient beings, and sentient beings tend toward delusion. So it's not surprising, not surprising that delusion is common. And wisdom and love are rare. Not all sentient beings have done the work, but some sentient beings have been engaged in the work over one lifetime, over innumerable lifetimes. Bodhisattvas are what they are called, but nowadays we call them engaged Buddhists. And I have mixed feelings about that term lately, because really, Buddhism is engaged. That's why it's a middle path. It's not a nihilistic path that pretends there is no world.